Every time I watch Clarkson's farm, it looks like a complete financial disaster. Who in their right mind would pour that much money into a farm just to barely break even? But what if I told you there's a whole lot more to the economics of Diddly Squat Farm than meets the eye? In this video, we'll break down the three-part strategy that is turning Jeremy's 1,000-acre money pit into a fruitful empire. Part 1. The long game. I think there's a much deeper motivation for Jeremy. When he first bought the farm back in 2008, it was during the recession. He saw it as a smart investment. No one is creating more land, and he was able to snatch up this property at a relatively low price. But it's not just about the potential financial returns. Clarkson has expressed a desire to create something lasting for his children. He specifically mentioned the lack of debt duties, now known as inheritance tax on farmland. By pouring his time and resources into a farm, he's creating an asset that can be passed down to future generations without a hefty tax burden. For context, if that £12.5 million of farm real estate was sat in his bank account, his kids would only end up receiving £7.5 million due to the 40% tax, a decision I'm sure his children are very happy with. There's also a personal fulfillment aspect to all of this. Despite the challenges and frustrations, Jeremy seems to have developed a genuine affection for the farming lifestyle. No one is waking up in the early hours of the morning to help birth a farm animal unless you really love it, especially a multimillionaire. The show has given viewers a glimpse into the realities of agriculture, both the triumphs and the struggles. In a way, he is using his platform to raise awareness about the importance of farming and the issues faced by those in the industry. And let's not forget the impact on younger generations. Despite the agriculture sector employing over 400,000 people in the UK, which is about 1.5% of the total workforce, farming is listed on the UK's shortage occupation list, indicating a lack of sufficient skilled workers within the sector. This reflects both a shortage of new entrants and the difficulty in retaining existing workers, possibly due to the challenging nature and low profitability of the profession.
Also, how lonely would it be if it was just one person?
That's what we say all the time. You know how many farmers are literally on their own. I mean, absolutely on their own right now. And they're on a tractor going up and down, and all they're thinking is, I'm going to have zero money. You know, and they've got to put food on the table at home. They've got a family at home, and they have no money. So while the suicide rate now among farmers is just, there's a greater number of accidents than all other jobs put together on farms. And the suicide rate now has overtaken vets, I believe. It's because it's lonely and they aren't being paid. I mean, imagine if nobody would go to work if they knew they weren't going to get any money.
By showcasing Kaleb's journey on the show, Jeremy is potentially encouraging other young people to consider careers in agriculture. So while the short-term financials might not be impressive, Clarkson seems to be focused on the bigger picture. He's building something that goes beyond just the bottom line. Part 2. Leveraging resources and partnerships. There's another piece to this financial puzzle. Government subsidies. Over the past few years, Diddly Squat Farm has received over £250,000 in various subsidies. If you didn't know, a subsidy is a payment from the government to a producer to lower their cost of production and encourage them to produce more. Why? Well, farming contributes around £9.6 billion to the UK economy, representing about 0.5% of the nation's total economic output. Now, this isn't uncommon in the farming world. Many farms rely on these financial support systems to stay afloat, but it's an important factor to consider when looking at the overall economics of the operation.
But like you say, when these subsidies stop, then what's going to happen? Because what sort of percentage of revenue are those?
Well, they were 2 years ago. There's 1,000 acres here, so you got a basic payment of, just for having the land, of 80-something thousand a year. I know that sounds, I've got 80,000, what are you moaning about? But,
take your expenses out,
by the time if you buy a tractor, a tractor's £100,000. Just a bit of that cow crush we bought, which is just literally a metal fence, £10,000. So it sounds like a huge amount, but actually the farm will just eat it in seconds. With every time you have to buy anything, your £80,000 is gone.
It's not just about what the farm itself is generating, but also the additional resources they're able to secure. But subsidies aside, Clarkson has another ace up his sleeve, his incredible team. Let's start with Kaleb Cooper, the young farming prodigy. He too has been able to profit off the success of the show. He's spoken previously about paying himself as little as 50p an hour when carrying out his own farming, due to the long hours and volatility of the industry.
And then
when I'm working
you know
for
that
myself,
you're going to get TB.
when I'm feeding my calves in the morning, so I bought 8 calves. I'm buying, it's like a little bit of a new business idea that I'm doing, buying calves in and then, feeding them on milk, which cost me about £200 a calf, and then selling them at 9 months for trying to get a profit, trying to see if it would work, Anyway, but I worked it out the other day. Do you know how much my hourly rate is? Well, I pay myself for doing them calves.
What is it?
50p an hour.
Oh,
That's Then I can make money. But if I put myself at £10 an hour, I don't make money. I lose money on the calves.
But money is much less of an issue now. While it's unknown what he's paid for featuring on the show, his business that deals with TV-related activities recently reported end-of-year earnings of £242,449, almost double that of 2022. Not to mention cash-rewarding opportunities like I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, surely to happen in the near future. Then there's Lisa Hogan, Clarkson's partner who runs the Diddly Squat farm shop. Her efforts have been instrumental in making the shop a success. She's the one on the ground, dealing with suppliers, managing inventory, and creating that welcoming atmosphere for visitors. Finally, there's Charlie Ireland, who makes sure everything is done by the rules, which is a great reality check for everyone watching, showing all the work and processes they have to go through just to get the items on the shelf and keep the farm running. Revealing the tedious but necessary processes they have to go through to make things happen gives it all so much more value. See, Clarkson has been smart in recognizing and capitalizing on each team member's strengths and passions. He's not trying to do it all himself. He's leveraging the expertise and enthusiasm of those around him. Delegating tasks to the right people makes a big difference. Part 3. Unconventional farming strategies. Jeremy quickly realized that relying solely on traditional farming wasn't going to cut it financially. High input costs for things like fertilizers and equipment, vulnerability to weather and external factors outside your control, and at the end of the day, low profit margins on the actual agricultural products. The whole business felt like one big gamble, with the odds not even slightly in their favour. In the first year running Diddly Squat, he made a whopping £114 profit, and in subsequent years, he's facing potential losses due to things like rising costs and crop failures. A business without profit isn't a business, it's a hobby.
When Charlie came to you and produced this sort of spreadsheet that ended up telling you that you'd made 144 quid or something for that year, it's like, what are you going to do if you're a farmer that doesn't have an Amazon deal, that doesn't have the Millionaire Programme and doesn't have a column?
No, I know.
Then what?
Well, they normally work on another job as well.
Farmers.
Yeah.
Farmers.
All farmers I know normally work on another job.
Like what other jobs?
Truck driving. You can literally do your animals in the morning, go and jump on a truck, drive a lorry back and forth, get back at 5, 6, whatever, and then do your animals again, then go to bed. But it's bringing another wage in.
That's such a grueling gig,
It's honestly, it's very difficult.
Every farmer out there's got 3 or 4 jobs probably.
In search of that profit, he began exploring alternate strategies to supplement that farm income. One key move was opening the Diddly Squat farm shop. This shop sells all sort of merchandise, from clothing to candles to food products. The shop draws visitors from all over, eager to get their hands on a piece of the Clarkson's farm experience. Capitalizing on the brand exposure from the show, the demand for Jeremy's bee juice is much higher than the honey at your average farm shop. But he didn't stop there. He also looked into alternative revenue streams like hosting events and opening a restaurant on the farm. Not to forget promoting his Hawkstone alcohol brand, which I'm sure was part of the contract negotiations with Amazon. More on that in a moment. What was once a struggling farm has evolved into a business empire. Now let's go into more details on that streaming agreement. The Prime Video deal wasn't just giving him brand exposure. Clarkson signed a cash-heavy contract with Amazon for the rights to Clarkson's farm, reportedly worth over £200 million. This is for a total of 3 seasons, £66 million for each one. The show has not only entertained viewers, but it's also put Diddly Squat Farm on the map. The series is essentially a giant advertisement for the brand. The fame from the show has opened up a world of merchandising and tour opportunities. Suddenly, people are lining up to throw their money at all things Diddly Squat. Seeing the authenticity and commitment of everyone on the show, you can't help but be invested in the journey from the very start. A great story can go a really long way in business. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out some of our other business breakdowns on the channel. Thanks for watching.